Hello, it's Brian Asher with Friendly Cleaning Services again. We're making a little video to explain what happens when you call us out to have your basement dried out. You come home from a long day at work, you find your basement's flooded, pipe broke, sump pump failed, whatever. Maybe you woke up in the morning and stepped on your carpet and it sloshed back at you. Not really the most appealing sound to hear coming from something that's supposed to be silent. So, what is actually going to happen, or what should happen when you hire somebody if you're, say, not in the Kansas City area and you're getting this video? What should happen when you call someone out? Well, you'll greet the technician at the door. When they come to the door, show them the area that's wet, whether it's the whole basement, one room, a corner of a room, wherever it is. The person, the technician, will take a look at the carpet. We have a probe thing with prongs, stick in the carpet and outline how much of the carpet is wet. Some of it, yes, will be visible. When you step on it, it'll be visible. But is it the whole room? Is it just part of it? Just a corner? Maybe just where the sump pump is? Maybe just a doorway from where the bathroom, maybe a toilet overflowed, pipe broke, supply line came undone from a toilet or a sink or something like that. It could be a large scale job, whole basement, just a corner from a room, or whatever. So we'll test the carpet, see how much of it's wet, or maybe it's not carpet. Maybe you just have concrete floors, sealed floors, stained floors, whatever. Then we will test the walls, see if the walls are wet. We'll take a dry room, an upstairs room, and we'll test the moisture of your house at a typical standpoint, because a wall is not going to be 0% humidity. It's going to be 3, 5, 7%, something like that. So we need to find what it's supposed to be. Then we'll go downstairs and put the prongs into the wall. I mean, we just touch them to the wall. You're not going to stab a hole in it or anything. And we will test the relative humidity in the wall. Sometimes it's so obvious that you can feel it. You feel around, find out how far up it's wet. Then we can evaluate it, find out if it can just be dried by having fans blowing across the wall. About every 10 feet, we'd have a fan blowing down the wall, parallel to it, blowing the air down it, depending on if there's insulation in the wall. Sometimes there's insulation in the wall. Another option is we will pull the baseboard off and drill a hole between the studs and stick a hose in there, and the hose will be connected to a big huge fan. It'll force air in, or you can even have it on a sucking side where it extracts the moist air out, depending on the sort of equipment that the company has. You can either pressurize it or put it under vacuum and suck the moisture out. Then they, after testing the walls, find out how much of it's wet. Sometimes it's not wet at all. If the sheetrock doesn't go all the way to the floor, maybe only the studs got wet, and just as we drying the floor, it'll get taken care of. So you evaluate everything. Now, we cannot give you an exact amount that your job is going to be, because the humidity outside, other factors, generally a dry down is going to take 3 to 5 days. You can't really press it beyond 5 days. You risk things molding, things, drywall getting too wet, not drying fast enough. You have big risks of other issues at that point. So we need to keep it in the 3 to 5 day window. Now from there, everything's evaluated. We'll outline, where the scope of the problem. You want to check with your insurance, see what your deductible is, make sure your insurance company covers it. Because this is generally, if it's just a corner of a room or something, it may only be a couple $100 or whatever. If it's a whole basement, it could be $3,000 to $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. I mean, there's no cap. It depends on how big the house is. If drywall has to be cut out, then you're talking about replacing baseboards, replacing drywall, painting. It can be rather open-ended. But generally, if it's small, we can give you a pretty good ballparkish idea. But again, it just depends on how long it takes to dry. So once we actually start to process the job, what is that going to entail? Well, we use what's called weight-assisted extraction. You're thinking, Brian, what the heck does that mean? What that means is we use the weight of the technician, me, my partner Ed, some of our people, whatever, and we stand on a tool and it squeezes the water out of the pad from the cushion in the carpet, and it sucks it out simultaneously. One of our machines, we drive around and it pumps the water down the toilet or down a floor drain or in a shower or whatever is convenient and close, maybe even a sump pump pit if your sump pump is functioning. As we're extracting the water out, the machine pulls it out and pumps it out. Another one of our machines that we use, depending on how busy we are, is a regular carpet cleaning machine where the machine's outside in a van and we run hoses in. Again, we still use what's called weight assisted extraction. And with this tool, the vacuum hose connects to it. It's basically two pieces of plexiglass and a vacuum hose attaches to it. We stand on it. The weight of the technician again squeezes the water out of the pad. So we extract as much of the water out as possible that way. And if the carpet is a glue down, we just use a regular carpet wand and extract the water out that way, because there's no cushion under it that's going to be excessively saturated. It will need the weight assisted extractions system. So we go from there. Then we will set up our drying equipment once we've sucked as much water out as possible. We want to extract as much water out as possible because that is the fastest way to get moisture out. Not by evaporation, but actual source removal. So we need to do a thorough job of that. That's why we stick with weight assisted extraction. Then we will set up the drying equipment. We'll take measurements before we leave to see what the relative humidity is at that point. Then we're shooting for a prescribed goal of humidity in the house based on various parameters. So now we have the equipment set up, whether that is large fans, dehumidifiers, we have wall drying equipment. Sometimes we have to cut out sections of the wall if it's not clear water. If it's rainwater, not too bad. If it's a supply line leak, not too bad. If it's sewer, we're going to be cutting things out. We're going to be removing things because they've been exposed to human waste, which cannot be cleaned out. So we're cutting out pieces of the wall if they got wet, throwing out baseboard, things like that. So once we have all the equipment set up, we have the water sucked out, then we're going to call you every 24 hours and set up a time. Generally what we do to make it as convenient as possible is we'll either, depending on your work schedule, we'll either drop by before you leave for work if you're an afternoon, second shift person, second, third shift, whatever. We will come by before you go to work. If you work a regular 8 to 5 type job, we'll come by right after you get home. That way it's not an inconvenience, or right when you get home from picking up the kids from school, things like that. We'll try to make it as convenient as possible. And we're going to check our readings, see how the humidity is dropping. We use what's called a hygrometer. It measures relative humidity in the total house area. From there, as we monitor it, as the moisture gets down, we'll pull equipment out, because the equipment is rented to you. It's actually rented to your insurance company generally. So the less equipment's there, the lower the bill is going to be. We want to get your house dried out as cheaply as possible for everybody, so everybody's happy. So as the humidity goes down, we'll pull equipment out, because less equipment will do the same amount of work once the humidity is down low enough. So we just keep reducing it every day, as long as our moisture is dropping, then we continue to pull equipment out. And another thing is, yes, the fans and dehumidifiers make a lot of noise. Yes, we all want to try to sleep, but if you turn these things off when you're trying to sleep or unplug them or anything like that, you're only going to exacerbate the problem, make it worse, risk mold and lots of other terrible issues. So yes, it is annoying to have all these fans blowing in your basement, but please just put up with it. It's a few days and then you will be on with your life. So now that everything is dried to a perceived, an acceptable level, the walls moisture matches the moisture in other parts of the house that weren't contaminated, then we will help you in billing your insurance company if your insurance covers it. Hopefully it does, because again, most people don't have thousands of dollars to cover this scope of a project. So again, there's some good news in there, some bad news. Just trying to be honest with you, let you know what to expect. Don't let a company come in that doesn't have the proper meters, the proper gauges, things like that, and they just stick fans in. Fans will not dry it fast enough. You've got to have dehumidifiers to drop that moisture down as quickly as possible. So there is a difference between a carpet cleaner that pretends to do water damage and a water restoration company. Yes, we clean carpet, but we also do water restoration the proper professional way. We follow industry standards. We're approved by insurance companies. We're all good to go. All right, have a good afternoon, day. Bye.